always takes so long.
Okay. We are live. That's what.
Awesome. Thanks, love. Scooty's over there eating his star cookies.
Boom.
Move out, troops.
I'm out, troops.
Move out, troops. Hey.
Morning. Afternoon.
Wow, Roseanne, you clean up well, girl.
Thanks.
Alright,
Can y'all hear me?
I can, Katie.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can. Okay.
I think that we're all good. Hey, Tammy, are you with us? Hi! Thanks for joining us today. Okay, so pretty much how we do it is we're going to, we're just going to introduce ourselves real quick before I open up. So, welcome back to Choosing Recovery. I'm Olivia. Today's topic is mat recovery, but we will also probably be covering another topic as well. So, Katie, you can go ahead. Roseanne, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm sorry. It cut out there for a minute.
You're okay.
My name is Roseanne Valenti. I have 4.5 years clean. I am on MAT, and I'm also a certified peer recovery advocate.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Katie, are you able to introduce yourself real quick?
Yes. Hi, I'm Katie. I have 3.5 years of sobriety, and I'm just here to learn more as a person who was against maintenance. So,
Awesome. Glad you're here today, Kate.
thank you.
Tammy, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Oh, hold on. It's muted. Wait, can I do that?
Mhm.
How do I... Are you able to unmute?
Here?
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
There you go. I'm Tammy. I have 7.5 years sobriety.
Awesome.
After 25 years of month.
Awesome. We're glad you're here. Yay. Thanks for jumping on with us. So I'm just going to open up the floor. Roseanne, if you want to, take over for mat recovery.
Sure. I don't really know where to start. So I think the reason why I decided to suggest this topic is obviously we all came together on TikTok, right? So I'm hearing a lot of controversy on TikTok, and it's not the normal like, oh, if you go to NA or AA and you're on that, you're not clean. What I'm hearing right now is a lot of people who they tried that and it didn't work for them, so now they're spreading the message of don't use it because you'll regret it. It was the worst decision of their life. It was terrible. And I want to clarify that because that's not necessarily true, right? Just because it didn't work for one person doesn't mean it can't save another person's life. And there's a lot of misconception out there. Just because you try it and it didn't work right away doesn't mean that it can't work in the future. But I also want to stress that it isn't for everybody, and it's okay if it doesn't work for you. A couple of things just to touch base on is, first of all, there's many versions of MAT, right? We have Vivitrol, we have Suboxone, we have Subutex, we have Methadone. So just because one version of MAT didn't work for you doesn't mean that another version can't. And it takes time, no matter what it is that you choose, to find your right dosage. I want to stress too, to find an addiction specialist. Right now, I don't know about other states, but here in New York, a primary physician can just take, I think it's a couple 100-hour course, and they get their X waiver and they can prescribe it. That doesn't make them an addiction specialist, right?
Wow.
They don't understand the chemical,
Wow.
the chemical imbalances that are going on inside your brain. Right?
That's so
my
scary.
Experience we talked earlier where I saw a pain management doctor who could write for Suboxone and then switched me to Methadone but could only go up to a certain milligram of methadone, which worked great for the pain but didn't treat my addiction. So when I diverted, he was like, oh, you relapsed. But that wasn't necessarily the case, because I was using what I had to use to treat my addiction. So it's just, there's a lot behind maintenance medication that people don't speak about, or they don't necessarily know, and then they send the wrong message to people.
And that's
You know what I
why
mean?
I think you're hitting on really good topics, because I think it's so unbelievably important to find a specialist of addiction. If your doctor is getting in contact with you and saying, how are your side effects? Good? Okay. I'm going to prescribe you for the next month, and I'll talk to you again next month. That should not be the case. They should
No.
say, I want to count your script. You need to come
Yep.
in.
Yep.
There needs to be that accountability, because if you're finding a doctor
Yes.
that is counting your script, that is asking about your side effects, that is being involved in your life with maintenance, that's a keeper. Because that's
a
telling
program.
you that
That's a
he,
program.
yes, that he's there for you, you know, and that's why I think, like Roseanne, you touched on a good topic. I think that there's so many systems that are broken and that are against people in recovery, and people throwing out maintenance drugs is not acceptable. It's very dangerous. It's scary, you know. So if you're at the point of in your recovery, or if you're scared to get into recovery because of how much drugs you used, or you have other mental health illnesses, or you have back pain, or you had something that you need to be treated along with your recovery, find a specialist. Find a specialist that does maintenance. Like, just, it's so serious. It really is.
And just like anything else in recovery too, that I want to stress, you have to be ready for it. You
Yes.
have to be ready for it, and you have to want it. Because if you're not, and you're just getting into a program because it looks good for drug court, or for family court, or for your family that's pressuring you,
Yep.
just like anything else, it's not going to work. So I really wanted to break down that stigma of, if you're on MAT, you're not clean, or if someone used it and it didn't work for them, it's not going to work for everybody, because that's not necessarily the case. So
Matt saves lives. For me
It does.
personally, I am a full-blown addict. So I have the addictive personality, like,
yeah,
all the way around.
so do I.
I was at the point where I withdrew in jail for 90 days off of everything, completely abstinence. When I went to rehab, they asked me if I wanted to get on Suboxone, and I flipped a lid. I
I
was
would've
so pissed. I was like, how dare you try to set me up for a failure, just for me personally, because I
Yeah.
already went through the withdrawal. I didn't need it to come down because I was already forced to doing
Yeah.
it completely abstinence. But my husband, Scott, he does his vitriol shot.
Mhm.
And he got off from Suboxone to his vitriol shot. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but
You're okay.
he said that the transformation from everyday Suboxone, because he had to go and he had to get it every day. He didn't get a script. He had to go every day to take his dose, right?
Yeah.
So him doing that to the vitriol,
The Vivitrol.
Vivitrol, him going to that, he only has to go get the shot once a month. So once every 30 days.
Yeah.
He's at the point where he realized it. He was like, just the competitiveness of going to get my Suboxone was a habit. That was a habit I had. He's like, now with the vitriol, it's not something that I have to get up and go and do every day before I start my day. He's like, it's one thing, it helps me through. And he was like everybody, like his mom asked him, right? And she's like, well, when are you going to get off it? Isn't it only 6 months? And he's like, I don't know if and I'm like, fuck that. Fuck that. You're not putting your life at risk because somebody else wants you to be at a different progression. Like, that's not their decision. And I was like, this is helping you from where I stand. Like, don't ever
So
put
you-
yourself in
I
harm's
don't
way.
want to cut you off, but you just touched on two very, very important points. So the everyday having to go in. So like I just said, I switched from Suboxone back to methadone, but I'm doing it in a controlled environment because I am an addict through and through, and I don't want to divert again. So I now go to the clinic every single day, right? But that's a hassle for me because I have to do it before work. I have to drop my niece off to daycare before work. I have to dose before work. I got up on Saturday. I got up on Sunday. I was there by 7:15 when they opened. It's a hassle. But
Yeah.
that shows that I'm willing to work my program to stay clean, right?
Mhm.
But it does become a hassle. So then there's people on Suboxone who have to do the same thing, and they're like, well, it's a hassle and I don't want to do it, but now they have the Sublocade shot, right? And it lasts either a month, or it can last 3 months, or it can last 6 months. So there's ways to get around it if you want to do it where it doesn't have to control your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, again, that's the education portion where maybe not a lot of people knew about the Sublocade injection. And then the other point that you touched on, and this is what drives me insane, is when people are like, well, when do you plan on coming off of it? For me, I'll never come off of it. Pain is a trigger for me, so the minute I get off of it, I'm going to be back on the street searching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because I've used for so long, my receptors, they may never, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry, I like to ramble.
It's
They may never heal, right? So I may need this maintenance medication for the rest of my life, and there's other people out there who have used for decades, and they might need this medication for the rest of their life, and that's okay. And there's no timeline, and we're not competing, we're on our own timeline. So you just touched on a lot of important points there.
Yeah, because I know a girl that was on maintenance, I think, for like 7 years, and everybody told her she wasn't clean, and she decided that she was done, that she wanted to, I think she worded it as she wanted to progress more in her recovery, and she decided that she was done after 7 years. She's now still like over 10 years clean. You know what I mean?
Good.
Like she was,
Yeah.
and she made that choice for herself at the right time in her life. And I think that's huge, is for people to.
They don't see. People need to stop trying to do everybody else's recovery. I mean, I know for me, it's my recovery, not yours. Leave my recovery alone. I personally don't do MAT, but my sponsees are on MAT.
Mm-hmm.
And I will take them down to the clinic to dose.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Thank
That's
you for that.
amazing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it Rosie?
Roseanne.
Yeah,
Okay. What kind of pain are you referring to
So
for this
me
to treat that?
Personally, I have complex regional pain syndrome and fibromyalgia, and they're still trying to figure out if it's lupus or rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh wow.
So everything I have is a chronic progressive pain condition. I will have it for the rest of my life, and it'll get worse as I get older.
So
Isn't there something else you could take for it besides that, or no?
So we've done all of that before I got onto opiates. We've done the steroid treatments. We've done the anti-inflammatories, even the stronger ones such as Toradol. And it just got to the point where I wasn't functioning anymore. Before I was diagnosed, I was a gym rat. I ran 4 miles a day. I was at the gym 6 days a week. And then it just hit me to where there were days where I couldn't get out of bed anymore. I couldn't take care of my kids. So, and coming from a family of addicts, I didn't want to do the pain management route. There was people around me who were like dying from overdoses. I knew what that could have done. So I was getting them from my primary doctor, and I was making a 30-day script last 90 days. And finally, when my blood work came back a little weird, he was like, you really need to go see a rheumatologist. The rheumatologist was like, listen, you're in pain every day because you're not taking them as prescribed. So at first it's like, okay, well, my doctor's telling me to do this. He's the professional. He knows better than I do. And it didn't take long from there before I kept increasing and running out early, like maybe a week or two, and then before you knew it, I was going through 90 pills in 3 days. So, yeah. And then buying them on the street. So, yeah.
I think
So,
Yeah, I think that's so hard too, and recovery is when you get diagnosed with things, because it's just the stigma against it, you know. And I love how we have 3 women on here that aren't on MAT, you know, and we're sitting here and we're supporting it because everybody's addiction and recovery is different. And there's people that have chronic illnesses in recovery. So recovery is already hard enough as it is, but then you're sitting here and you're getting diagnosed with a chronic illness, and then you proceed to make the best decision for your recovery, and then people want to turn around and tell you that you're not clean because you're taking care of yourself. You know, like that's so horrible to hear. And Tammy, I love the fact that you bring your sponsees to their program, because one, that just shows that they are loved and they're supported through their recovery no matter what. And I think that's just incredible to be able to bring that to people that need it, that are struggling, you know.
So has anybody looked into Reiki?
I've heard of it.
I'm a Reiki master, just saying.
Awesome.
Okay.
Fibromyalgia as well, so it helps. Like when I was like not licensed but brought into Reiki, me and my brother took it together so he could work on me when I'm in pain.
Okay.
And I hate the phrase, but my baby daddy.
That's okay.
He is an active heroin addict, and I will take him, like when he gets out of jail and he's hurting and he's, Tammy, I need to go get, no, you don't, you know, just hold on, let me work with you for a little bit, and it helps. It really helps.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Look into it.
Yeah, I will. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
And that's what I think is also great too, is that like people that are working their program in what the best way that they can, there's always a different route that you can take later on if you feel the necessary need to. Tyler, he is in the men's podcast and he shared his story with us. I don't know if that's overstepping a boundary, but I'm going to share a little bit of his story. I don't know. But he got diagnosed with Crohn's. And he was having like a really hard time going in and out of hospitals. He was taking medications and everything. And his addiction was just growing, right? And then now today, he has completely changed like his diet, his lifestyle. And now he's treating his Crohn's with natural, like different, he's just changed his eating habits, you know. And I think that's just a story all in itself, that, you know, you can find those routes when you're ready, you know, but don't ever, like when I tell my husband, like don't push it, you know, like you are doing the best thing for yourself right now, and that's great.
Yep. And I love that you bring that point up, because the fibromyalgia, and Tamara might know this too, like diet and exercise, they do help for fibromyalgia, and I have done that. Massage, like deep tissue massage and chiropractic, that all does help. But unfortunately for the rheumatoid / lupus, whenever they figure that out, and the complex regional pain syndrome, that stuff doesn't unfortunately work for that. So I'm up against a lot. Yeah.
The Reiki, with an energy massage, there's no touching, so.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to look into that one. Because there's days where, you know, the Suboxone didn't help at all for pain. It took the edge off. It allowed me to get up and do what I had to do, but by the time I get home from work, I was done. And I have 5 kids in this house, so
yeah,
I need to, like, when I get home from work, I need to do schoolwork, and I'm homeschooling my 14-year-old, not remote school, actual homeschooling him, where I am responsible for everything. And then my twins have homework, and then I have custody of my niece, and my 20-year-old does help, but he's a 20-year-old. He needs to go out and do his own thing, right? And my husband works full-time too, so we have a lot going on. So I can't come home after work and just be done, even though I want to. And so that's why I switched to the methadone, but I'm still in the early stages where we haven't gotten to that therapeutic dose yet. So I need to find something to go along with the methadone, and I don't want to completely rely on that either. So I'm gonna look into that. Thank you so much. Sorry.
You're okay.
My daughter is like in and out of the house right now.
That's good.
Right? Go outside.
I'm
So
on
yeah, I'm
vacation.
open for any questions. Stop slamming the door. She's sassy.
Daughters are the best. Katie,
Oh,
do you
yeah.
have any questions?
My
Oh
baby
wow.
she is still as sassy as she was when she was 4.
Oh god. No, don't tell me that.
So you're doomed.
No. No. Okay. Oh geez. So
So-
yeah, does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
You know, I have a couple questions.
No, go
Okay.
ahead.
So what are the difference in, since you have knowledge on it, apparently,
Yeah.
what are the different types of maintenance? Like, what are they used for? What makes them different? That sort of thing.
Okay, so Vivitrol is naltrexone, which is just a blocker. And actually, if I'm going to be completely honest, it can work for opiates, but it's more for alcohol. So what would happen is if you're an alcoholic or an opiate user, Vivitrol is a once-a-month shot, it's an injection, and once you get it, if you try to use alcohol or opiates, it's just, you're not going to feel the effects of it. It's going to completely block it. But that's not to say that you can't go and try, right? But you're not going to get sick. It's just going to completely block the effects.
Quick
Not
question.
exactly
Quick question.
Best, but it does work for a lot of people.
Quick question. So with that being for alcohol and opiates, and you said that you could use drugs but not get high.
Yes.
So
Only opiates and alcohol. So you can go and use cocaine, crack, methamphetamine, LSD, marijuana, because it's only going to work on your immune receptors, which
So-
is where opiates and alcohol.
but with it being
Not
said
true.
like that the alcohol or opiates doesn't like show a high, wouldn't that cause like even more like people could die?
It's just gonna block it.
So
You're
like
not
what
gonna
if they
be
like
able to, unless
use so
you
much?
really
Would it
used a lot.
okay.
You'd have to use a lot, and it would be a dangerous amount.
Right. Okay.
To where you would get sick or possibly overdose. But again, that's going to be a lot. Like, it's damn near impossible to do. So that's why we really don't, at least for us where we work, I mean, if a person asks for it, by all means, that's your choice, and we're going to connect you. We're going to link you with those services. And then the next step would be your Suboxone. So Suboxone is buprenorphine and naloxone, Narcan, right? Buprenorphine standalone in a patch form is FDA approved for pain. So what they did was they took it, and it's a partial opiate agonist. So it partially works on your mu receptors. What it does is it goes in there, it fills your mu receptors, and it has a high affinity rate, meaning it binds super, super tight. So once it's in there, if you try to use any other opiate, it can't get into that mu receptor. It's going to block the effects of the high. And then if you do try, the naloxone in there would prevent an opiate, an overdose. And also with Suboxone, at 24 milligram, it hits a ceiling effect, and you're not going to get any euphoric effects, no pain relieving effects, nothing like that. So that's why insurances and doctors, they really do like the Suboxone because it prevents overdose, it prevents the effects of getting high. Now back in the day, if you were pregnant, they would give you Subutex because they thought that the naloxone would pass through the placenta or through breast milk, and babies can't have it. And that is just buprenorphine in a sublingual form. Now research is proving that if somebody is pregnant and they take Suboxone as prescribed sublingually, they're not trying to melt it down or inject it, they would actually, there's no, the naloxone isn't going to pass through the placenta or the breast milk. So, I mean, there is, some people do still prescribe Subutex for that, but they try to shy away from it because there's no naloxone in it, so there's no abuse deterrent in it, right? And then they just did come out with the Sublocade injection, which is Suboxone in an injection form, and you can get it in the 1 month, 3 month, or 6 month form. They usually start you out on the 1 month and then build you up. And I'm hearing a lot of people who want to come off Suboxone are going to the Sublocade injection because your body naturally just titrates itself down and there's no withdrawal. So people who are going on the 1 month, they can actually go 5 or 6 weeks before they need their next injection. I hear it's a wonderful thing. But you do have to come down to like about 16 milligrams, 12 to 16 milligrams before you start that. And then there's methadone, right? What methadone is, it's a full agonist. It's a synthetic opioid or opiate. So it acts on the brain just as a regular opiate. At 60 milligrams, it's going to be great for pain management. Anything above 60 is going to be great for addiction. It's going to help fight cravings. It's going to get you out of withdrawal. So,
Aren't they
those are
both
pretty
mind
much-
altering?
No, so it's not. If you're using, I mean, it can be if you abuse it.
I know people who have used it, so
Yes,
they used
yes.
it to get high with.
Yeah.
So
And those are the people who aren't really ready. Those might be the people who, you know, they might be in drug court or family court, or a family member is pressuring them, and they're like, oh, well, I'll just go do this clinic over here, this program, and make it look good. But I know that I can still abuse it, right? But they shouldn't be having any cravings. But again, if they're not ready for it, if they're not ready for recovery, they're gonna find a way to get high no matter what, right? And that's an easy way. But usually in the methadone clinic, so for addiction, methadone is a very controlled environment. You have to go every single day at the same time to dose, right? You have to do your toxicology, you have to do counseling. Eventually you can work up to take homes, but you have to save your bottles and they're gonna count them every time you come in. And where I go, people who have been there for a decade or more, those are the people who get like 30 days worth of take homes. They've had to really, really work at it. You know what I mean? Even right now with COVID, they're not really giving them out. So, yeah.
I think that it's
I mean, if you
just
find
such
the
a
right program, some like who do it the correct way, there's really no way that you can get away with it.
and I think
I mean,
it's
there
just
are ways, but
and I just think it's like such a thin line is that it helps people, but it can just as much hurt people. And I think
Yeah.
that's when it's like really hard. It's like such a thin line because it's like you have to be ready. I shouldn't say it like that. People that get on a MAT program and they're ready for recovery or they seek recovery, like they went out of their way trying to find this, that's awesome. I believe that's totally doable. I believe that it does work for people, but then like it's such a thin line. Come on, we're addicts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna give an addict a drug that they can get. I don't know. So I just think that it's such a thin line. You know, like I think it's really dangerous,
Like,
thin line.
I'm not gonna lie, I know people who abuse it. My sister, who I'm raising her daughter right now, she was just in the throes of addiction, really, really deep into it this past summer. Her drug of choice wasn't even opiates. And you know what she did? Her boyfriend was on methadone. So she took some methadone, went into a Suboxone program, and she only took the methadone so when she was drug tested, she would show for opiates, right? And they wrote her a script for Suboxone. So she would sell the majority of them so she can go and buy the crack or meth or whatever it was that she was using, and then save one the day of her UA.
And
So
that's
she
why,
could keep
like,
getting her.
I think it's important for people to know that it can work if you allow it to work and you want it to work. But then again, it's like, it's just another way of you killing yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the people that don't want recovery, or I just see it as, like, me personally, like, them legalizing marijuana, like in New York, Like, my addict mind is like, I wish they would have done that when I was a pothead. Like,
Yeah.
why now are they
Yeah.
legalizing weed? You know? And I don't, like, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, it's so, like, I drove around with a Zong in the front seat of my car, and I thought it was normal.
Yeah.
I was driving drunk. I thought it was normal. I grew up in a home where I was taught that these things were normal.
Yeah.
It's okay, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it's like so scary. I don't know. I love a lot of people that are on maintenance, but I know for myself, I believe that I would not be here today if I chose that path.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I'm crazy.
And that's okay.
You
That's
know?
okay, because that's what works for you.
Yep.
But it's not what works for me, right? And that's okay because we accept each other and our recoveries exactly how they are.
Absolutely. And it saves
Yeah.
lives. It does.
Yeah. And you know, I keep thinking about this. I watched a TED Talk the other day, and the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to me. Just as human beings, right? Not as addicts, just as human beings. The more we're told that we can't have something or shouldn't do something or that's wrong, the more we're gonna do it, right? Because we're told, no, don't, you can't do that, or you can't have that. Portugal, the country of Portugal has decriminalized all drugs, and their overdose rate is pretty much non-existent
Yeah. Little to none.
because they're not told that it's wrong or bad or you can't do it, and that's just the human brain.
And it's
You know what I
also
mean?
the fact that, so they decriminalized it, they're not forcing people into recovery.
Yeah.
You're not getting in trouble and told you're either going to prison or to a rehab.
Yeah.
Their rate is so low is because people are using drugs and they're saying, whoa, I don't want to live like this. I'm going to get clean. So then they
Yeah.
go and get clean because they want to, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
a huge difference.
There's
yeah.
no stigma. There's no judgment over there. Like, I don't know. Why can't all countries just do that? I really don't get it.
Yeah.
So. No,
That's a
not
country
today.
with reality.
What'd you say, Tammy?
That's a country that's in touch with reality.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not trying to sweep it under the rug and act like it doesn't exist. Yeah.
So I need you guys to go on in those text messages because actually I really only kind of got into the text 2 days ago. I take care of it and just put your name, like text and put your name so I can hurry up and add them to my phone if that's okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so because I take care of an 89-year-old child and she just got out of rehab, so I've been
Yeah.
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 I haven't
Yeah, no
really
problem.
I am on vacation right now. It's lovely here. I'm in Havasu. I love it. It's great.
Oh, I'm jealous. I need a vacation.
Show you.
Let me
Hold on.
see.
I'm gonna go upstairs. We got an Airbnb. Well, my cousin just came up from Vegas to see that. Hold on.
Oh wow.
You see that?
Oh, beautiful.
That is gorgeous. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm jealous.
I'm jealous.
Haven't been on vacation since I got
But
married.
this is- I go on
15.
vacation like once a month. Right?
Oh
Me and
my
my mom
gosh.
just go. Yeah. That's what my recovery taught me, right? I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're so glad that you could
Okay.
jump on with us today. I'm actually going to, I think it would be best just to make a Facebook page for the Women's Podcast, and then I'm just going to post up the schedule, and then people can just comment on it and sign up or whatever, you know.
I think
So.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Facebook, and it was based in Las Vegas, Nevada, right? So I've been in this group since I was 10, and it's
Wow.
Soberlicious on Facebook. It's great.
Oh, okay.
It's great. There's a
Oh,
lot of
I'm
people-
on that group, I think. Yeah. Well, awesome. Do we have anything else that we wanted to, do you guys want to talk on another topic? Do we have any other topics? Do we have any more comments? What do you think? No?
You know, I mean, I can talk about what I did yesterday because it was pretty interesting. I didn't even know we had this in our community. So I did an outreach event yesterday.
Oh, cool.
It was me and my department head over at our local Department of Health, and we met up with this woman who is the founder and CEO of a company named Mobile Ops, which is Mobile Opioid Overdose Prevention Services. She drives this white Jeep, and she just drives around our community, right? And she does on the scene or like on the spot Narcan training. She provides food, clothing, fentanyl testing strips. Like, I didn't even know this existed. So we posted up on a corner over in the inner city, and the pizzeria provided free food. We handed out Narcan, fentanyl strips, masks, like a whole bunch of free stuff, right? I signed up 3 people up for treatment yesterday. 3 people. Yeah, like it was so amazing. Amazing. So, I don't know, I talk all the time about how I wish other states had what we had over here in New York.
That is like phenomenal. I'm in New
Yeah.
York. I wish
I
you
know
would
you
come
are.
up here.
What county are you?
We're not doing good up here. Like,
What county are you?
we're in Jefferson.
Jefferson County. Alright, I'll talk to my boss, I'll let her know.
Yeah.
Even though we're Erie County, we do help other counties in New York.
Yeah, we go to Buffalo a lot. My sponsor's down there.
Yeah.
She ended up moving down there just a little bit ago.
Well, next time you're out here, let me know, and I'll hook you up with a whole bunch of stuff to bring back.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're in New York, I can do that, so.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you,
I know, I'll
ladies,
make
so
lots
much
now.
for today. I greatly appreciate it. I think it was a good topic, and I think that we covered a lot of important things.
Yeah, thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you for coming and sharing it. You know, it just takes that one time of just saving someone's life and making people feel like they belong.
Yeah.
And that's
Yep,
important.
Exactly. So,
All right, ladies, I will.
If you guys are ever in Las Vegas, look me up. I'm here.
You're in Las Vegas?
well, definitely.
Girl, I will come right now. Don't test me.
My husband and I got married in Vegas, and our anniversary is in like 2 days. And I'm like, can we please go back?
Yeah.
Please.
That's awesome. All right, well, I will send out the group.
It's great right now because all the casinos are closed down, right? So.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
right? Do all the sightseeing this time.
Right. Okay.
All right, well, I'm going to send everybody the Facebook link and the text messages so we can all stay in contact.
All
Okay.
right, perfect.
Thank
Alright.
you.
Bye, ladies.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye, ladies.